And I also read on your bio that you host or you do language immersion retreats as well.
Yes, I'm going to do one in September. And
Cool.
I'm very excited because I see it as something as a message of hope, getting people to of starting again, going forward, moving on, going on with our story as the world, as a community, because we've most of my community, Italian learning community, hasn't been traveling for over a year and a half, and people who are learning Italian feels this visceral, deep-rooted connection to Italy. So they really physically missed traveling here and living the reality of Italy. So I'm really happy to be able to be. It's going to be a lot of work, but it's something I'm really happy to be doing and getting people going and dreaming again.
That sounds so exciting. I've never done anything like that before, but can you tell us a bit more about it? Like where would this be, and what is it like there? Like what things are you organizing
It's a tiny town that nobody's ever heard of, but it's really beautiful.
in
It's
Italy?
off, yes, it's between Rome and Naples, and it's off. Tourists don't really go there. I mean, you don't know about it, and people don't speak English. I mean, that is one of the number one assets, because many people come, many of my clients, they come to Italy and go to Rome, Venice, Florence, and get the tourist treatment. And from a human point of view, it's very disappointing. And then they don't get to actually speak English, Italian, sorry,
Yeah.
because they are in tourist places. So for starters, I wanted to get people away from that situation, but also to lead an authentic Italian lifestyle. The pace of life in this town is really, really slow. It's an extremely old-fashioned town. I mean, you go to the bakery, you're going to buy some bread, you're going to end up having a conversation with people who will feel free to suggest what kind of bread you should be eating, depending on what, I mean, this is the sort of community. So there's not a chance on earth that you will feel left out, that you will feel people that came to my retreat last time immediately were able to make friends in the place and to live in amazing human, interpersonal experiences. But also it allows me to organize activities like I don't know, treasure hunts, where they have to go to farmers market and find some special
Oh,
ingredients
that's
for the
amazing.
meal they will eat.
Yeah.
And they have to take away Google Maps, so they're forced to actually ask people. And then I get them to do eavesdropping exercises where they win if they're able to hear more words. It's fun because it's basically I'm able to get I'm the sort of the catalyst. I get people to live experiences and practice language. And it's easy for me to sort of create the conditions so that they can interact and live experiences that they only see in movies and TV series. So it's very
Yeah. That
beautiful.
sounds amazing. You're giving me ideas as well. That sounds something like that I would love to do one day as well in English. Um,
Absolutely. And Michael, in your case, I mean, I think you can understand perfectly where I'm coming from, because imagine all the people that come to London wanting to learn English. And, I mean, I lived in London for more than a year and I
mhm,
perfected my French in London. I'll tell
mhm.
you that. I'm glad I did perfect my French, but that's not, I sort of didn't, that's not what I was expecting. But, it can be hard with the whole tourist thing going on.
Definitely. I mean, I think it's a great thing about London in many ways, but not so good for immersion, because I can walk down the street and, you know, almost everyone will be speaking a foreign language, not English. And I get really excited by that. But I think if you're coming to London to be immersed in English, you might be disappointed because depending on where you go, there isn't always much English.
I know you have to know where to go in London,
Yeah.
especially. And I think, the same at some level. I mean, London is huge. I mean, what are we even talking about? But at a lower level, lower numbers, the same thing bit happens in Italy. in Italian big tourist cities that you have to know where to go to experience.
Yeah.
I mean, there are places in Rome where you will not find anybody speaking English, but you have to know where to go. And that's where I come in. I'm sort of helping them find the right places, see it from the inside.
Yeah. And I think it's a good idea too, because like I try to do that when I travel. Like first time I went to Japan, I went to Tokyo, and it's such a big city that people often don't chat with you. I had a few people talk to me, but it's very easy to be anonymous and stay hidden there. But then the second time I went to the countryside, and
Wow.
it's difficult. It's quite difficult on your own because you have to think about where to go, where to stay. You don't have any help. If you have to meet friends. But it was much better. I could talk to more people because they didn't speak English in the countryside.
Wow.
People were curious, like, why the heck are you here? What are you doing here? But yeah, I imagine with a coordinator or someone to help you on a retreat, it's probably much easier. It takes the stress out of it, because going to the countryside
Exactly.
is a bit hard to know where to go and what to do, I guess.
I can't imagine doing what you did. Although it sounds really great and exciting and an experience, but I think it must have been practically really, really hard. But yes, having somebody helping out and just knowing where to go. And I mean, and the funny thing is that my students, they come to this small town and people will sort of say, wait a minute, you're learning Italian? You're here? And they become rock stars in like a second,
Yeah.
because they become celebrities. I don't know if this happened to you in Japan, because I know that it's very, it's interesting for Japanese people to see learners they're fascinated by Western learners of Japanese. So
Yeah, I mean that's the other side. If you don't want to be noticed, maybe don't go to the countryside, because you will be like a rock star. Everyone's going to be, oh, what are you doing here? Wait, you're learning my language? Like, I went to a yoga class one day with like a bunch of more elderly people. So I was the youngest one, also the only foreigner there. And then after the class, everyone kind of surrounded me in a circle, asking me all these questions.
well, of course they did.
Yeah, it was good practice for my language, but quite intimidating too.
Wow, that must have been something to
Yeah.
what I would give to see that.
I'm glad it's not recorded. It'd be quite embarrassing.
But it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah. So